Didn't think I'd be making another video quite so soon. I guess I'm just gonna keep making them and keep uploading them as I feel like it. I don't have a plan. I don't have a strategy. I know how old-fashioned this is. There's no music. There's no editing. My background is just like my bedroom. My camera quality is not very good. I'm not doing that thing where I put a slick photograph on the thumbnail. I kind of find these I really think the left is doing a great job, but I kind of feel like these sensationalized titles, Trump has complete meltdown, Trump makes greatest mistake ever, all this stuff, is kind of tiresome and over the top. Like, the actual content of the videos, these people are very accurate and reporting the truth, but I guess that's what you have to do maybe to grab attention on YouTube. I'm not going to do that. I don't really care if anyone watches these videos or not. This is just for my personal fucking therapy at this point, to be perfectly honest. And I'm feeling like more and more like I'm probably going to swear more, and if they make me the adult and that reduces my reach or whatever even more because I'm over 18, then so be it, because I'm not trying to achieve anything here other than just getting stuff off my chest, because this is hard for me. This living in reality is not easy. I don't know what it's like on other planets, in other dimensions, other parts of the universe, but this reality, for me personally, this is tough. So, I would just like to give a big shout out to IHIP News, the I've Had It ladies, two amazing ladies from, now I think they're in Alabama. I think I've got that right. They're like liberals stuck in the deep south, and they have this amazing podcast where they just sit and shoot the breeze and tell everyone what they've had it with. And they started just doing general stuff, and now they've got IHIP News, which I think is I've Had It that stands for I've Had It Podcast News, where they do hot takes Monday through Fridays on stuff that's happening in politics and the election. So shout out to these wonderful, amazing ladies. I have borrowed the tweets that they shared in the post that they just watched, and I would like to just give my own brief commentary on them. I will put the link to their specific video in my description, and I strongly encourage you. They're very entertaining as well as being informative. I'm yet to disagree with really anything they've said. I expect maybe one day they might say something I slightly disagree with, but I find them to be very agreeable people. So yeah, please go and subscribe to I've Had It. They are really well worth your time. Anyway, while watching their video, they shared a series of tweets. As I mentioned in my previous video, I'm not on Twitter anymore. I don't plan to be on Twitter. But I would just like to share these tweets and give a little bit of commentary. Okay, Matt Walsh. I don't know who this guy is. Now that the election is over, I think we can finally say that, yeah, actually, Project 2025 is the agenda. Lol. Okay, so, very smug. Well, it's like Matt Walsh is like, psych! We played mind games on you, dude. We lied to you and you didn't know. Well, actually, I knew. All the Democrats knew. They were reading excerpts from Project 2025 at the DNC. So to all the morons in America who voted for Trump thinking that he was telling the truth when he denied Project 2025, firstly, you're a complete idiot. And secondly, just think about this. If he lied to you about something as basic as this, then think about all the other stuff he lied to you about too, when you pulled the lever for Trump. So everyone who voted for Trump thinking, nah, he's not really going to do Project 2025. Nah, he's not going to do it. Yeah? Think about this guy is now tweeting and saying, actually, we are. And you're a moron for believing the lies, is what he's saying. They're just openly saying it now. And I hear you people saying, well, President Trump hasn't said that. Well, give it time. Give it time. And if somehow you think they're not going to enact the Project 2025 agenda, think about two things. Firstly, Trump has no morals and no position and no policies. He's probably going to do some of the stuff he said, like tariffs and rounding up immigrants and trying to put his enemies in front of a firing squad. Cancelling climate change, trying to force Zelensky into unconditional surrender to Putin. So he is probably going to do a bunch of stuff he said, but he doesn't actually have any morals or principles. So all the architects of Project 2025 have to do is they have to just get in the room with him and say, Mr. President, we're so thankful you're back in the White House where you belong. And if you don't mind me saying so, sir, you look and sound even better and sharper than you did in 2016. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know how you're doing it. It's almost like you're aging backwards. Have you seen that movie, Benjamin Button? Are you a relative of him? And that's all they have to say, and Trump will do whatever they want. It's that simple, because he's a more extreme case study of a malignant narcissist than it should be possible to exist. If before Trump existed, a psychiatrist had given a fictional case study as an example of what a malignant narcissist is in some kind of mental health document or manual, such as the DSM, that gave an example of what a malignant narcissist is, their career would have been over, and all of the other professionals, the psychologists, would have said, this case study is ridiculous. Someone with such an extreme cases of malignant narcissism as this could never exist in real life. This is completely over the top and exaggerated and impossible, and you need to tone down your example so that you don't throw the entire of our science of psychology into disrepute. That's what they would have said. But here we are in the reality where such an extreme malignant narcissist not only exists, but the majority of Americans thought it was a good idea to either vote for him or stay home. Yeah, that's where we are, people. It's unbelievable, really. You kind of got to laugh sometimes. Okay, let's move on. Nicholas Fuentes has done a tweet. Your body, my choice, forever. Okay? So, and this has got 30,000 likes, 19,000 retweets, and 8,400 comments at the time the screen grab was taken. But it did have 28.8 million views. So I guess we can be, say, okay, so nearly 30 million people saw this, but only 30,000 people liked it. I'm not sure if that's a good ratio or not on Twitter. I'm not familiar with Twitter anymore. But think about this. The slogan for the pro-choice movement, and I'm just going to quickly, I won't go into this, I reject completely, and I will not debate with anyone who wants to frame things as pro-abortion versus pro-life. That is a false framing that does not exist. Nobody is pro-abortion, and none of these people on the other side of this are pro-life. Just ask them if they will prioritize children's lives over gun control measures, even sensible, conservative measures, not extreme measures, and you'll get your answer as to exactly how pro-life they are. I mean, if a pregnant woman gets shot dead, does that count as abortion? I don't know. But these people aren't pro-life. So the actual debate is pro-choice versus pro-control. I am pro-choice. The other people are pro-control. And in that debate, the women say, my body, my choice. That's their slogan. And now a man is saying, your body, my choice, forever. So now a man is saying, men are now going to control your bodies, women. We're going to make the choices. You don't have the choice anymore forever. I mean, it's not just sick. It's a violation. It's almost like a verbal form of rape for a man to say that. And they're gloating. They're gloating because they know that the Republicans are going to pass a national abortion ban, and Trump's going to sign it into law, and then I don't know what the blue states are going to do about it. I don't know if there's anything they can do. I don't know American politics that well, and the way American governments work, and the way states can defy or resist what the federal government dictates. I don't know. But that's what's going to happen in the Trump administration, and if it's not Trump himself that does it, if the Democrats somehow hold on to the House, I imagine they can probably block that legislation. But if they lose the House, which I believe they will, and I hope they will, then a national abortion ban is going into effect. And the reason why I hope that the Democrats lose the House is because everybody in the country needs to see and understand what unchecked Republican power looks like. Because, by the way, they will remove the filibuster at this point for everything that benefits them, and they will use it to try to make sure the Democrats can never get back in power again. So the filibuster, which means you have to get 60 out of 100 votes in the Senate, they will remove that and make it 50-50. They've now got 53 at least seats. They might even have 54 or 55 by the end of this. But they'll remove the filibuster and they'll just go for it. And I believe that the Democrats, the Republicans, and the Independents and the MAGAs all need to see what unchecked Republican power looks like to wake them up to see that this hatred born in the Confederacy and carried through the centuries because of the unwillingness of the American government to execute traitors back at the end of the Civil War. Because of that legacy, that's where America is today. So that's what this guy says. Your body, my choice forever. That's lovely, isn't it? So, as I just said before, with the people who all voted for Trump and believed his lie that Project 2025, I would like to now address all the women who thought it was a good idea to vote for the rapist, the serial fucking rapist, over an intelligent black and South Asian woman who made a life of being a public servant and only ever was a prosecutor for the people and represented victims of crimes against the criminals on behalf of the American government as an ADA and a DA and an AG, and then she was in the Senate, and then she was vice president for 4 years. To all those women who thought it would be a good idea to vote for the guy who's had over 20 women come forward and say that he assaulted or raped them, well, maybe you made a mistake. Maybe it's too late now, of course, but maybe you should think about what you did, women of America. Okay? Maybe you should think about it. Because this guy now thinks that men have control of your body, and by the way, he's right. They do. So well done, women of America. This next one is even worse. John Miller. Here's his tweet. This is a quote. I'm not saying this. I would never say something so horrific. Women threatening sex strikes like laugh my ass off as if you have a say. Okay, let's think about that for a second. Women threatening sex strikes as if you have a say. So what he's saying is, women, you can't sex strike because if you try to withhold sex, we're just going to rape you. That's what this guy is saying. It's very clear. On the tweet, there is also readers added context. Having sex with a woman without her consent is rape. Here's like you have a choice is endorsing rape. I completely agree with the readers who added that context to this tweet. This is on November 6th, the day after the election. So I would just like to, at this point, just point out If you live in a society where there's a national abortion ban, and you know that it's very hard to get a rape conviction and prove a rape, especially if there's no witnesses, any man who decides they're going to fixate on any woman and wants to have control of that woman, he can just rape her, get her pregnant, then she can't have an abortion. She will be forced to bring that child into the world. It will be very hard for her to prove he said, she said in a court of law that this child is a product of rape. And he will have parental rights. And he will be in that woman's life for the rest of her life, re-victimizing her and raising her child to be as hateful and evil as he is. And they can just do that whenever the fuck they want. Because under Trump and the Republicans, they're not even going to try to prosecute rapists. They don't want to prosecute rapists because they are all, in their hearts, if not they've actually done it in person, rapists in one sense of the word or another. So women threatening sex strikes like laugh my ass off as if you have a say. Apart from the bad grammar, like as if you have a say. I mean, that's bad grammar. But apart from that, everything about this sentiment is truly sickening and evil. Truly sickening and truly evil. All right, let's move on. Somebody tweeted, "I'm just a girl standing in front of the world asking for a president who isn't a rapist." Andrew Tate retweeted this with the comment in all caps and a full stop at the end. Request denied. Request denied. So Andrew Tate, just like the other guy who said, oh, we knew all along that Project 2025 is really what the Republican agenda was. We were just lying to you and you fucking fell for it. This is exactly the same thing, except that Trump is a rapist. They all know he's a rapist. Most of these men who support him, they have actually raped women, or they wish they had raped women and fantasize about raping women. That's who these people are. Request denied, he says. He is acknowledging and confessing, yeah, we know Trump's a rapist and we like it. We want to live in a world where men can rape women with impunity. That's who we are. And the good side, the upside of this, by the way, I'm just going to mention, is that straight after the election, these evil, sick people, now emboldened and gloating, they have taken their hood off, their mask, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it the hood because of the KKK. They've taken it off and they're showing who they really are. They're not ashamed. They're reveling in their victory. They're reveling in being able to control women and even rape them with impunity forever in America. That's the America they want. And they are not being shy even 2 days after the election, or 1 day in the case of some of these tweets, of saying this. This is a good thing because you can't deal with a problem until you have accurately defined the problem. And so as we can see, these people revealing who they truly are, we can understand that the sickness in America and the problem and the moral depravity of these people, I'm not going to call them men because they're not men. There is nothing manly or masculine about these men. It is the ultimate what's called toxic masculinity or fake masculinity. There is nothing masculine about these men. They are monsters. And what they are saying is monstrous. But the fact that they feel free to say it as soon as Trump's elected tells you two things. One, this is who they really are. And two, this is who they believe Trump is too. Okay? So we don't have to argue about this. They are emboldened. I don't think anyone believes that men would be saying stuff like this if it was the day after Kamala's victory. So this speaks a lot and tells us a lot about these people who voted for Trump and the kind of country they want to live in. I don't think most of the women who voted for this understood what they were voting for. I don't believe most women would vote to live in a country like that. And those women who would, they are victims of a society who hates them and has taught them to hate themselves. And speaking of a society who has taught people to hate themselves, let's have a little look at a text that has been circulating around, being sent to black people. I want to make clear I'm reading this text. I do not in any way endorse this text. This text sickens me. Here we go. Greetings. You have been selected to be a house slave at Abingdon Plantation. Come to this address, 300 7th Street Southwest, Washington, D.C., 224 at 0500 tomorrow, sharp, all caps, end all caps, with all of your belongings. This is mandatory, or I think Americans say mandatory. Our executive spaces will come get you in a turquoise van. Be prepared to be searched down once you enter the plantation grounds. You will be stationed. I just would like to point out that these people are not just hateful racists, but also illiterate scum. You will be stationed, not stationed, at Plantation Point L. As far as I can tell, that's the end of the text. Okay? To all the black people who thought it was a good idea to vote for the fascist racist who hates you and hates everybody who isn't an entitled, rich, straight white man, to all the black people who thought it was a good idea to vote for him instead of the black and South Asian woman who believes in freedom and democracy and the rule of law, who got this text, maybe you should think about your life choices. You know, as a white person, you know, I obviously want to support black people and all people of color in the fight against racism. But just because you're a black person doesn't exempt you from being a fucking idiot. Okay? Plenty of people from every race, every gender, every sex, every ethnicity, every religion on this planet are dumb fucks. And black people voting for Trump is like cows voting for McDonald's. That's what you did. And I want you to ask yourself, if you were one of the people to receive this hateful, despicable message on your phone, and wonder how they even knew that you're black, and how they targeted you, who voted for Trump. Obviously, if you voted for Kamala, then I feel terrible that this has happened to you. If you voted for Trump, or you stayed home, or you protest voted, well, you need to think about that this is the consequences of your actions. Do you think they'd be sending this message the day after Kamala got elected? Do you think that would be happening? I don't personally think that would be happening. I think this is in response to Trump being elected. That's what I think. That's what I believe. So black people who voted for Trump, hang your heads in shame. Hang your heads in shame. You should know better. And women should know better too. I mean, as a white man, I can see what's going on. I was fortunately woken up about 7 years ago by my black friend. I'm very thankful for him. Every time I think of him and how he saw something in me that he believed he could wake me up, and he did. And I'm grateful to him. I will be forever in his debt. So a lot of white people, particularly white men, they're just not going to know better. We understand this. There's so much hate been passed out. I'm not excusing them, by the way. There's no excuse for this. This is evil. This is really sick. But I mean, black men especially, but also black women. I can't believe one black woman voted for Trump, but I guess some of them did. What are you doing? You should know better from the sum total of your life experiences. And if somehow you've gotten through life in America this far without being affected too deeply or hurt too deeply by racism, I'm very thankful that you got that far. But look at what happened to your ancestors. You're going to vote for this guy over an accomplished, highly qualified, intelligent, articulate black woman who presented a lot of really good policies that are designed to unite everybody and perhaps provide a centrist government for a little while just to try and keep everyone happy for a bit and then start moving to the left. And you voted for that monster? That racist piece of trash? What are you doing? Why would you do that? So to all the people who are already seeing the signs that you made a mistake, you don't have to feel like this is irredeemable, because what is a mistake if not a learning opportunity? You are all about to find out, voters for Trump and people who stayed home and people who buried their heads in the sand and people who voted for a third party, that you made a horrific mistake that is probably going to be the demise of your entire way of life in your country over the next 4 to 12 years. But as personal growth goes, if you're willing to humble yourself and admit that you made a terrible mistake and take responsibility and own it and say, I am so ashamed that I was hoodwinked into voting for Trump through my own willful ignorance, and I should have educated myself, and I should have seen through the lies, and I should have realized, and I'm never going to make this mistake again. Until the day of my dying breath, I'm going to fight for what's right and for America's ideals. Then voting for Trump could actually be one of the most valuable things you ever did and be a turning point in your life and one of the greatest, most transformational life lessons you ever experience. Now, I'm thankful as a Brit that I never had to have that experience, but I did have to have a reckoning with myself when in 2016, I not only voted for Britain to leave the EU, which I now see was a mistake, and I was an ignorant, stupid voter who didn't inform myself properly and believed the propaganda of the Brexit people. But also I thought it was kind of funny when Trump got elected and thought, yeah, maybe he'll shake things up. Maybe Trump will be good because he's not a politician. Now, I would just like to say at this point, I wasn't following politics. I wasn't interested in politics in my own country. I certainly wasn't interested in politics in America. I had zero really information about Trump. My friend warned me about Trump. I was like, why are you telling me about Trump? I'm British. Why would I care? Well, I understand now. But I didn't see the danger in Trump. I was just an entitled white prick back then. And then in 2017, when I'd started watching CNN a little bit more and just taking an interest, I guess because of what my friend said to me. And I remember when Wolf Blitzer came on, breaking news, CNN, and he announced that Trump had fired James Comey, the FBI director who was investigating the 2016 campaign's collusion with Russia to help rig the election in Trump's favor, which of course he did, making him an illegitimate president who broke the law to win, just like Nixon. And that, to my mind, that validates Trump's first presidency, let alone his second presidency. But anyway, when I saw that come up, I woke up in that moment. I realized my friend was right about everything. Everything he said was true. He tried to warn me, and I didn't see it. So all I can do is defend myself from saying I was an entitled, oblivious, privileged white dickhead at the time, and I'm British, and I never had any reason to take any interest whatsoever in American politics, because up until that point, America, I mean, it had affected me, but it wasn't actually an existential threat to me and my way of life and the people I love in my country like it is now that Trump's back in charge for a second time. I like to believe that if I was an American in 2016, I would have seen through the bullshit and voted for Hillary and campaigned for Hillary. I like to believe that, but I don't know for sure. Maybe I would have voted for Trump in 2016. But what I absolutely know for a fact is I would not have voted for him again in 2022 or in 2020. And I absolutely would not have voted for him in 2024. So I will take responsibility for my shit and my mistakes. All I am asking to anyone watching this, to which this applies, fucking own your shit and take responsibility for the horrific decisions you made, which are going to have very far-reaching consequences, not just on your little backwards country, but the whole rest of the fucking world, including my country. That's all I'm asking. Fucking take responsibility.